Welcome to Razor Branding Podcast with Jackie Russo. To learn more about how to improve your brand, visit brandrusso.com.
Hi, thanks for joining with us. Today we are talking all about nonprofits throughout the area because today is National Podcast Day. What better way to celebrate than podcasts all day long? So we're going till midnight tonight. Each hour we're talking to a different organization, understanding what they've been through this year with the pandemic, with additional expenses and costs that they've incurred, and some things that have impacted their fundraising and how you might be able to help them. So in this hour, I'm so excited to have Lee DeLeon with the community, the Raging Cajun Athletic Foundation, RCAF. Lee, how are you doing?
I'm great, Jackie. How are you today?
I am almost to the point of delirious because I've been doing this since 3 a.m.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
I am exhausted, but in a good way, totally in a good way.
I'll do my best to lift your spirits and re-energize you this afternoon.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And we are talking about one of my all-time favorite topics, which is UL sports.
That's right, the Raging Cajuns.
Absolutely. Go Cajuns.
Go Cajuns.
So, Lee, I know this has had to have been the weirdest year for any school and its athletic arm and the fundraising department of that athletic arm. So
Sure.
What has it actually been like at RCAF, and what kind of changes have y'all had to go through?
It's been really weird, to be honest with you, and I'll give you a funny story to kick it off. So we are at a basketball game the first week of March, a women's basketball game. Our team was actually making a run in the Sun Belt Conference tournament, and we were playing in the quarterfinals, which we won, and we were going to go into the semifinals. But anyways, during that game in the quarterfinals, my son Landon, who is 9 years old now, 8 at the time, he says, "Man, Daddy, is there ever a time of the year where there's no sports?" And I said, "No. I mean, you got baseball in the summer, and then we're right back into the fall with football." I said, "So, I mean, it's pretty much year round. We got the Olympics this summer. It's going to be awesome." He was like, "Good, because I don't know what I would do without sports." And literally the next day, they shut down sports in every way. Basketball season got cut short. March Madness got canceled. The Masters, everything got shut down. So our lives basically were completely transformed because that's what we do year round is sports, and not only professionally but personally as well. I'm the sports nut like you, and if I'm not talking about sports, I'm watching sports. If I'm not watching sports, I'm playing sports. If I'm not playing sports, I'm thinking about sports, right? So it's been very weird. And then, as far as being a fundraiser during this time, it's been exceptionally difficult. You can't go see people. That's what we do. We're a relational organization. We're in the people business, and our whole mission statement and our whole focus is about building relationships. And you can't do that as well over Zoom. You can try to call people, Zoom them, but it's still not the same as sitting down face to face and meeting with each other. So that's been hard. Secondly, the economy is terrible, as everybody knows, and the oil industry is also struggling. The stock market, everything's on the up right now, but for the last 6 months, it's been really, really down, really hard, and so. We've had to cut our budget by 10%. The athletics department as a whole attempted to cut their budget by 10%. We took probably 3 months off from any kind of asking. When we called people, we would just see how they're doing and check in on them, and we wouldn't do any kind of solicitations or proposals. So it's looked very different. We're finally kind of getting to the point where we're asking people for money again, and we're making some bigger solicitations. And there are some companies outside of the oil business that are actually really thriving right now. And we're trying to tap into those and capitalize on some of the momentum there.
Well, and I think that, there's so much to unpack there. First of all, I had no idea it was your son's fault that we had a pandemic that canceled all sports.
He jinxed us all.
So now I know who to lay all the blame at the foot of. I hope he likes it. I hope he likes what he got, Landon. So I, too, had I been asked that question by one of my kids, would have said, we have sports every day, all day long, and year round. And so I could not have imagined a time without sports, much less months and months without it. It was just weird. And there are sports I don't even like that I was yearning to watch just because I wanted something, man.
Exactly. No
I mean, it's
doubt.
such a unifier, which, on the side note, was an amazing thing about this weekend to be at Cajun Field, sitting in the stands, incredibly socially distanced and fully masked. But I just had a grin ear to ear. You couldn't see the grin under the mask, but I was grinning ear to ear, and I kept saying, "It's game day, y'all! Like, it's game
Right.
day."
That's right. It finally came together. Yeah. And the schools that were so quick to cancel football season, the conferences, I should say, I just didn't understand it. You know, we're in the middle of a worldwide pandemic, and people are going to get sick, and things are going to happen. But life moves on, and I'm not trying to make any kind of political statement here. I'm just saying that sports, to your point, is a unifier, and it lifts people's spirits, and it gives people something to look forward to. And I just felt it was so important for us to be able to play if we could, and thankfully the governor and the mayor and everybody allowed us to move forward. And the game on Saturday, yeah, was different. We had 5,600 people instead of probably what would have been a bigger game, probably 25,000-30,000 people if we had opened it up. We had to turn a lot of people away. It was so weird, Jackie. Not a lot of people know this, but we actually sold out. We turned people away. If you walked up at 10:55 to go to the 11 o'clock kickoff and wanted to buy a ticket, you couldn't do it. And for us, that was actually, in a way, it could be a good thing because, not everybody out there is an RCAF member, and that's okay. But when tickets were in such high demand and capacity was reduced, we had to come up with a way to take care of the people that needed to be taken care of. And we did that through RCAF giving and investor ranking. And so, it was very hard. Last week was probably the hardest week of my whole 15-year career. I've been doing this full time since 2005. Started as an intern at LSU. And last week was the hardest week I've ever experienced because we had to disappoint so many people. So many people were angry and upset because they were getting displaced and relocated. And then there was a lot of people that were just like, no, you want me to move to the upper deck? No. You want me to move to the end zone? No. You want me to move to the east side? No. And I was trying to tell them, like, hey, we're just happy to have a game day. Like you said, we're just happy to be playing. We're happy to have fans, Iowa State, when we played up there in Ames a couple of weeks ago, there were no fans. So we're lucky. And so not everybody takes that mentality, which is okay. But from a fundraising organization standpoint, I'm hoping that last week was actually a good thing because it allowed us to educate people on the importance of giving to the education, athletics, and to being an RCAF member and to getting priority over other people. It was a chance for us to educate. Not everybody liked what they learned, but it was a chance for us to educate.
Well, and Lee, to your point, I was one of those people that was like, so I know my seats have been moved. Could you please explain to me where this new section is? Because I've never been there before. And you assured me that it was okay, and you were right. I was so glad to be there. You probably could have moved me to the upper deck or the end zone or the visitor side, and I'd have been fine because I was so happy to be there. But I did really like where I got to sit, so thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And I know it wasn't up to you guys. It was up to Ticketmaster and the rules.
Yeah.
And I commend all of you. It was so clear and easy to understand because there were sections that were marked off that said do not sit in this section. The section is spaced out for social distancing. And there were literally stickers on the benches that said sit here. So I knew exactly what to do. And I saw everybody following the rules. I was snickering at one point. There were a group of employees, not my employees, RCAF employees, who had a section not too far from us, and they weren't sitting on their stickers. They were sitting near them, but not directly on the dot.
Okay.
And the event staff walked over and very politely said, you have to actually sit on your sticker. And they made the patrol regularly, and I saw people not really giving them a hard time and being like, oh, okay, thanks, yeah, right, moving over. The worst thing I saw that day was a sunburn. I mean, otherwise, I think everybody did the things they were supposed to do to be safe.
Well, that's great to hear. And I was actually hosting a top donor and didn't get to make it around as much as I would have liked. But one thing that I thought was funny, and we didn't know they were doing it, was actually quite genius, but in the chairback seats, we had to spread people out, and we told them, to your point earlier, Ticketmaster kind of chose, okay, we got 4 seats here that you can sell, 5 seats here, 6 seats here, 3 seats here, 2 seats here. So we would talk to these people. And we called them back based on their RCAF investor ranking, and we'd say, okay, how many seats do you want? Oh, I want 4. Okay, here's your options for 4. And if they wanted to sit somewhere and we only had a 5-some there, they unless they wanted to buy an extra ticket, they couldn't sit there. And so we had to put people in these different spots and sections and places, and not everybody was happy. I've always sat on row 32 for the last 25 years. Okay, well, can you sit in row 25 this year instead of row 32? Hey, I know you've been on the aisle, but the first 4 rows are killed. I mean, first 4 seats off the aisle were killed. So can you sit, in the middle of the aisle? And it was really hard. But what was funny to me is our event management staff had a great idea. They found out what tickets Ticketmaster gave us to sell, and then the ones that weren't sellable, they zip tied them. I mean, you couldn't even open those seats and sit there if you tried to. And so I think that was a surprise for a lot of people. But at the same time, it allowed us to maintain the integrity of the seating system that we used. And to your point, people were surprisingly compliant, and they stayed and kept their distances. And we had the end zone where they had their white outlines of where they could sit, and they stayed in their outline. I was pretty surprised and pretty pleased.
I was too, and I think that most people probably felt the same way, which was just so darn happy to be there. They sat anywhere you told them to. And I get it. Look, I've had the same seats for 22 years, so I fall in that same category but that's not my seat. But on Saturday, I didn't care.
Yeah,
and
good.
I tell you what, Snyder made it worthwhile for
man.
everybody. That kid, I felt so bad for him and then so happy for him.
Yeah, another funny story there. It's we're at the end of the game, and we get the ball back with less than a minute to go, and we're driving. And I turned to Hans, kind of my right-hand guy in the RCAF, and I said, hey, man, we're going to get one long pass, and then he's going to kick a 50-something yard field goal to win it. And I said, he's going to go from GOAT to hero. And he said, what? Like, he had never heard that expression before. He's like, I thought the GOAT was the greatest of all time. I said, no, like before that saying came about, the GOAT was like the person that was the cause for the blame.
Like a donkey.
And, there you go. And I said, and he's missed 2 field goals. He's had a bad year so far. He's going to become the hero. Just watch. And so sure enough, he hits the 53-yarder and nails it. And then the funniest and best part of the whole day was that Dr. Maggard was underneath the goalposts, and and he saw it go through, and he starts to celebrate, and he slips and falls and almost face plants on national TV. And that was pretty classic, and people have been giving him a really hard time, but that was the icing on the cake.
I think so many things to unpack here. So his daughter's reaction was my favorite by setting that little video vignette to music. She really, I think, brought it home. I've watched it personally about 100 times on Carrie's page, and I'm not done yet. I'm gonna have to watch it some more.
Well, I'm just checking on it right now. It's had 859,000 views. Not Maggard's daughter, but the ESPN post has had 859,000 views, and then it was sent to, they have 35.9 million followers. And it says Louisiana drills a 53-yard field goal for the win. So where else can our school get that kind of publicity? Where else can we get something promoted and sent out to 35.9 million people? And you hear that expression all the time, that athletics is the front porch of the university. I mean, that's a great example right there. Is 35.9 million people heard about the Raging Cajuns on Saturday, and it was pretty awesome to see that go out. And I know Maggard was embarrassed, but at the same time, at least he didn't fall. Right. At least he didn't fall. And, a lesser athlete would have, that's what he pointed out. But B, I mean, he was just happy to get that kind of exposure. And like you said, Nate Snyder deserves it. The guys had a lot of confidence in him. And we got some great locker room shots and video of him after the game, which were amazing. He seems, really, let me digress for a second and take off my fundraising hat and just talk about UL for a second. You hear a lot about the culture and about our football programs culture, and Coach Napier has done a tremendous job of creating and maintaining and promoting that. But he said in his post-game interview, I don't know if you caught it, Jackie, he said, I hadn't heard a single negative comment from a teammate this whole season. I've missed 4 field goals. I had no reason to walk out there with confidence, but I walked out with confidence because I knew that my team and my coaches believed in me. And I was like, man, that that really is the culture. This guy that was 2 for 6. And the thing that I can't say that I didn't say anything negative, because I was frustrated because he was missing short field goals, like chip shots. And I didn't understand it. It was like, man, this guy's missing 33-yard field goals or whatever. But the fact that not a single one of his teammates or coaches had made a negative comment to him, it's incredible. So it's going to be a special year, Jackie. This is just the beginning, and hopefully everybody will join us for the ride.
Well, and I think, Lee, to your point, not only was he missing chip shots, but he's making 60-plus yarders in practice. So everybody knew he was capable of it. That's where the frustration comes from.
If you go to his Twitter account,
I saw
Jackie,
it.
I don't know if you've seen this, but he kicks a 77-yard field goal.
I saw
it. He has that pinned to the top of his Twitter page. It's like,
and wow. I get it. He didn't have defenders, and there may have been a little bit of a tailwind, but still, it's 3/4 of an entire football field. The dude is kicking a ball, and it's not like it's barely getting there. Yeah. It splits the uprights with distance to spare.
Exactly.
So, I mean, come on.
Hope that this is a turning point for him, and we can move forward and really have a great year.
Well, I think if ever we need to get together like a little group to predict lottery numbers, you and me and Mary LeBlanc need to be in that group together, because all three of us called it long before it happened. We said Snyder was going to get the kick. We said it was going to be long distance, and we said he was going to win, and we got it.
We spoke it into existence, right?
I think that's exactly what happened. I think that we, plus maybe a few angels up above, helped move that ball right through.
It was awesome. What a moment.
No, I texted Sidra, Mrs. Coach Wingardner, not Mr. Coach, and said, he's going to make it. Like, I have no doubt about it. It was awesome.
That's really cool. Yeah, and, I was talking to somebody today, and I said, if you think about magical, historic seasons that teams have, and you can take out LSU last year because they were just ridiculously good. But you look at like Auburn when Cam Newton won the national championship with them, but they had a couple of like really fluky plays that, like, remember they had the kick six when they returned it all the way, and that wasn't maybe Cam Newton, but that was one of the years that Auburn won the national championship. And you just have these real fluky plays. It's like, wow, like that's pretty incredible. And so last week, the prior game against Georgia State in overtime, when we were down 21-7, came back and won that game. To now the Georgia Southern game where we kick a 53-yarder to win it. I think these are, I think some of our fans and of course the polls are looking down at those wins and thinking, they dominated a Power 5 school in Iowa State, but they squeaked by a couple of lesser Sun Belt teams. But hey, when you look at these kind of seasons and these kind of historic runs, those are the type of wins you have to have. Even when you don't play well and you still win, or even when you're not healthy and you still win. We were missing a lot of key players on Saturday, and we still found a way. And so kudos to Coach Napier and his guys.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions for Coach Napier for Quarterback Club tomorrow. I've written the list down, and it sort of centers around things like this. And you may be able to answer some of them, Lee. Number one, I need to understand, is there a secret sponsorship with the Heart Hospital or Cardiovascular Institute of the South? Are y'all trying to sell some sort of heart medication? Yeah, the cardiac Cajun thing, look, that's been around for a long time. I've watched it happen with baseball and with a number of our other teams, so I get it. But y'all are taking it to a whole other level. Whole other level, man.
Yeah, this is only my second year here, so I'm not nearly as familiar with all the things that you've seen and experienced during your fandom. But yeah, he's got a flair for the dramatic, that's for sure.
Well, and that brings me to another one of the questions. And I know that his sense of humor is not the highly sarcastic one of mine. He's real dry. But is he secretly a pool shark? Because it feels like in the first half, he wants us to think they're not going to be able to pull it off. And then all of a sudden, second half, boom. So is he bringing in new plays in the second half? Is he swapping out people? Like, what the hell?
Yeah, he's got something, I every game I say, it's okay, we're a second half team. We're a second half team. And you just have to remind people that he does make some pretty incredible adjustments. And people don't give him enough credit. He is a tremendous play caller, and it's hard to be the head coach and the offensive coordinator, play caller, but he does it with grace, and he's just got a lot of quiet confidence. There's just something about him where, like, man, it's like, we're never quite out of it. Like, he's so calm and poised on the sideline. You just got he kind of instills confidence, like he's got everything under control. So I don't know how he does it, because I'm not like that. I I wear my heart on my sleeve a little bit more than he does.
He's cool as a cucumber, man. Like, he
Yeah,
doesn't
he
even
is.
break a sweat. It
Yeah,
had to have been 115 on that turf on Saturday because it was about 110 up in the
yeah,
stands.
yeah,
And I looked at him and he was like, just doing his thing. And I'm thinking, what the heck? It's like some
yeah,
magic.
yeah. There's something to that guy. He's special.
Oh, he is special. Now, listen, we need to stop talking about that out loud because I don't want to speak into existence other people realizing how special he is. I know we won't have him
Yeah.
forever, but I just need a little bit more time with him before I'm ready to let him go.
Well, I think this year, because of COVID-19 and because of economic pressures in our industry and the lost revenue from the men's basketball tournament last year and season tickets sales being down and capacity limitations and social distancing, I don't know how many athletic directors are going to make a change. I was blessed to be an AD for almost 4 years, and I know that when you're making changes, you factor in the cost. You think about, okay, I'm going to have to pay a buyout to this to the person that we're firing. I'm going to have to spend a lot of money doing a search for a new coach. I'm going to have to pay a lot of money in relocation expenses, not only for this coach but for his entire staff. I'm going to probably have to find more money in the budget because every coach wants more than what the last guy had. So, there's a lot of transition costs to make a change. And so I'm hoping that a lot of these big Power 5 schools are going to think twice before firing their coach and pursuing a guy like Billy. So I'm optimistic and hopeful. The other thing I'll say, Jackie, on the positive side for UL is I think that we have a chance to change the way people view us and view our program. And it doesn't have to be a stepping stone job. It doesn't have to be, it could be a destination job for the right person. And so if we can continue to provide him with the resources that he needs, he may never want to leave. So I know his family loves it here. They live in River Ranch. His wife, Allie, is super happy. His kids are happy. He has bounced around a lot in his career, and someone else, speaking personally, who's done that. When you get to a spot where you're happy, there's just something about it. You don't mess with happiness. So let's hope that we can keep him for a while.
You think we need to add like a meal train or lawn care services? I
Yeah,
volunteer for
all
car
the above.
washing on
Yeah.
Saturdays. I mean, whatever it takes, man. We
All
need
the
to keep this
above.
guy for a while.
I agree.
I think that COVID, as it's presented the challenges that you and your department have had to face, and I want to talk about those in a minute. I also think it's presented some miraculous opportunities. Would we have had such featured coverage 3 weeks straight on College Game Day, ESPN highlights? I mean, would we
Yeah.
have been the 11 a.m. game on ESPN1 and ESPN2? Like,
Yeah.
would all that have happened? No.
So think about that. To your point, I'm just going to completely agree with you here, Jackie. So Iowa State, ESPN, Georgia State, ESPN2, Georgia Southern, ESPN2, and then App State next week, ESPN. So it's 4 straight games to start the season, all on ESPN or ESPN2. That's more games on ESPN than we had all of last season combined. And so it's just like, okay, without these other schools playing, with us being hot, there's unbelievable momentum and exposure around our program right now. And to your point, I don't think that would have happened in a regular year. I don't think the Louisiana Georgia Southern game would have been picked up on ESPN if Michigan and Wisconsin were playing. So I commend again the governor, the mayor, the president, our athletic director Brian Maggard, my boss. Like, they really pushed for us to play, and I'm so glad that we are. And yeah, we've had a lot of positives. So it goes back to what I was saying earlier. People are going to get sick. However, I do think that in the end, that age range, most of them don't even know that they're sick. They're not even feeling it. And so, yes, it's scary to get diagnosed as a 19, 20-year-old young man, but they're so healthy. They're in such good shape. Most of them don't even feel a thing. And so, we're moving forward. We're pressing on, and I'm sure glad we are, because this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for the Raging Cajuns to promote ourselves nationally.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about RCAF and what you do. 24 minutes into our interview, we can get to the actual point. So how does the RCAF work and all that it does in terms of the way it supports the athletes and all of the new things that we've been able to provide for our athletes just in the past few years that we didn't have for all these decades before. And remember, my grandfather was the quarterback back in the early 40s. So I know how far this program has
Yeah,
come.
that's awesome. That is so cool. Yeah, so the Raging Cajun Athletic Foundation, RCAF, was founded in 2009. So we're 11 years old. For the first 5 years or so, there was no executive director. My role didn't exist. The board of directors, led by people that are community staples like Wayne Elmore with Mellow Joy Coffee, and Robert Daigle with River Ranch, and Charlie Moncla, Ed Domain, Brian Hanks, Sam Landers. They created this organization as a way to increase fundraising for Raging Cajuns athletics, and to help us better support and better fund our teams. And so one important thing to know is that we support all 16 teams, all 400 student athletes. It's not just about football and basketball. We raise money for tennis and golf and soccer as well. We have 2,800 members. Membership starts at $50 a year.
Wait, hold on right there. That's amazing. So just for $50 in a year, I can be a member of the RCAF and help support and contribute. That's remarkable.
Exactly right. $4.17 a month to be exact. And so we like to promote the fact that it's affordable. There's 14 different levels from $50 all the way up to $100,000 a year. And so we in our minds, there's something for everybody. And the more that you give, the more benefits and access that you receive. And so, we do a lot of really cool perks, not this year because of COVID-19, but we do trips with the football team. We do sideline passes. We do personalized parking spots. We give really cool high level benefits for people that are given, 7 figures a year, six figures a year, not seven, six and five.
You'll take 7. That's okay.
Yeah,
you can take 7.
No. But 6-figure, 5-figure gifts a year, we have a lot of perks. But then even if you give $50, $100, you're getting newsletters, you're getting invitations to special events, you're getting information on a regular basis that not everybody gets. And then in times like last week, as I mentioned earlier, as long as you make a gift to the annual fund, which is our most important need, that is unrestricted dollars that support all of our teams. If you give a gift to the annual fund, then you get a ranking, and you get priority points, and your priority points determine within each level. We rank within each level. So you take all the people at the $100,000 level, rank them, all the people at the $50,000, rank them, and so on and so forth. And that allows us to give a fair and equitable pecking order for people to get tickets and to get parking and to get access. And so it's important. And one thing that I don't think everyone knows, the fact that we were founded in 2009 is kind of weird, because these types of organizations for athletics, booster groups as people call them, they've been around for decades. I was the executive director of the Lobo Club at the University of New Mexico in Albuquerque, and that was started in 1932. Right. And so that is a huge organization that is almost twice the size of the Raging Cajun Athletic Foundation, but it's because it's been around for so long. So we are a surprisingly new organization. We have a board of directors of 25 people. We have an executive committee of 8 people that really drives our organization. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, as you know. And so gifts to the RCAF are tax deductible. It's just like giving to the American Red Cross or Big Brothers Big Sisters, and it's a way for us to impact the lives of our athletes. The one thing I didn't answer, and that you very astutely asked, what does this money go towards, and what are some new things? I do want to hit on that. So it pays for scholarships for our kids. It pays for incentive compensation for our coaches, bonuses. It also pays for nutrition. We have a nutrition program that Dr. Maggard started when he got there that didn't exist before. We have a cost of attendance stipend that it helps fund. And so that is a living stipend that our athletes get on top of, full scholarships. That also gives them money to send themselves home, to fly home, to take their girlfriend out to dinner, to buy some non-team issued gear. And, these kids don't have time to get jobs. They don't have time to go earn spending money. So it gives them a little bit of money in their pockets to have normal lives of college students and to go home and see their families when they have weekends off like this weekend. So those are all the types of things that are provided through the RCAF, and the dollars that we raise directly support and influence and impact the student athletes at UL.
That seems like a lot of stuff that I would imagine adds up to a lot of money. What's the cost on all that, Lee?
Well, to pay for our student athletes to attend UL, scholarships, academics, nutrition, it's about $10.2 million per year. And we did not raise that much money. I wish that we did. Last year we raised 6.3. So there's always a need, and we'd love to close that gap. We'd love to fully cover those expenses. But yeah, it's a huge number. The athletic department budget at UL, when we're not in the middle of a worldwide pandemic, is $33 million a year. And we're only raising $6 million or so right now. And I say only just because I feel like we're just scratching the surface of what we can do. I think we can do a lot more. I'm not trying to minimize the amount of money that people give, but there's an opportunity for us to really take that to new heights. And the fact that we have 2,800 members is good. When you think about the fact that we have 800,000 people in the Acadiana region, and we have 100,000 living alums, you would think that we'd be able to get closer to the 3, 4, 5,000, which would be hugely impactful on our entire department if we were able to grow like that.
Right, for sure. And I think about our total budget compared to other conferences where they're getting twice that much for just being in the conference.
Exactly.
So we've got room to grow and improve for sure.
Jackie, I'll give you a story on that. Before I was at UL, I was at Purdue. And, Purdue is the middle of the pack Big Ten school. Their budget is about $100 million, 95 when I was there. And just by being in the Big Ten conference, just by existing and being a member, they got $50 million every year. $50 million. That doesn't include the revenue from ticket sales and donations and sponsors. That's just for being a member of the Big Ten.
So when we talk about importing money into our community, this is a place for not us to give to each other, which is circulating the money. This is a place for somebody to cut us a check and bring that money into our community, and that money gets spent here on salaries, resources, scholarships, all of those things, which fuels the school. Again, you're talking about sports being the front porch. I mean, this is it.
Yeah, and to add to your point, Jackie, we bring in a lot of athletes from other areas. But if they come here and they have a great experience and they get a great education and they fall in love with this community, they'll stay. They'll stay, and they'll be great citizens for our community. And so you think about those types of people that come here, get an education here, and want to stay here. And then that really is investing in this community, because we're basically paying for the education of future leaders.
Who will stay in our community and lead here and make our community even better. So when I look at the track records of our sports, obviously baseball's been dominant. Softball, don't even get me started. Basketball, men's and women's, is getting there. Football has made these huge leaps forward. So we're positioning ourselves, it seems like, to be able to accept an invitation to a bigger conference at some point. But it feels like facilities is maybe one of those things that are holding us back.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I agree with you. To advance and move up in conferences, you've got to do two things. You've got to win, and you've got to dominate your current league. And I think we are well on our way to doing that. And I think we will do that over these next few years. The second thing that you got to do is show the bigger leagues that your campus, your facilities, your budget look like theirs. That there's not going to be this substantial drop off when they add you to their league. And so you've got to show that you can hang with the big boys and you can cut it. And so, right now, La Tech's and Conference USA, we have a bigger budget than they do, right? And so, I don't know if we're aspiring to go to Conference USA. I think, an aspirational conference more for us would be the American Conference, where Tulane is. Our budget is not like Tulane's. So to position ourselves in the next round of conference realignment, we probably need to get a budget that looks and feels, and facilities that look and feel a little bit more like what Tulane's got. So we definitely need to grow in those areas, and that starts with Cajun Field. And so that, I was hired about 14 months ago and was told that this project was forthcoming, and we are going to renovate Cajun Field to the tune of 60, 65, $70 million to make it a modern, impressive, not only football stadium, but community hub where we can have concerts, where we can have camps and clinics, where we can host corporate receptions and retreats, and have a club level that can be open year round for weddings and banquets and those types of things. So we have plans, we have designs. We're going to be making an ask later this month or next month for the lead gift to help fund that project and kickstart it. That's outside of expanding the RCAF and growing our membership and creating a larger base of supporters. My number 2 priority is raising money to renovate Cajun Field and make that a transformational community hub that is a source of pride for everybody within Acadiana.
Well, that's kind of like what we did with Lamson Park and Russo Park. So now we'll have the third piece of that little triangle. Cajun Dome has already been done. So now we'll have all 4 pieces done. And when I think about what you're talking about, think about Cajun Field. As it is right now, it's used 5 days a year. Yep, exactly. 5 out of 365. What you're talking about, all of a sudden now, it could be used 150, 250 days a year. That becomes substantial revenue back to the university as people are renting pieces and parts of it for whatever their needs are. And I know you're talking about the American Conference and this and that. I've been doing some math. Now, I'm not a math genius, but I've been doing a little bit of math. And it appears to me that the Big 12 only has 10 members. So it would seem, if we're going to make a jump, Lee, let's just go for it, man. Yeah. Let's help the Big 12 actually have 12 teams.
I would love that. I grew up in Big 12 country in Houston, Texas, and nothing would make me happier. But we've got to dominate the Sun Belt. We've got to win here and win in a big way. And I really feel like we're headed in that direction. I think basketball, men's and women's, is going to take a huge leap this year. I think Coach Deggs is going to have an incredible impact on our baseball program. We'll be back in the top 25 in no time. I think softball is good enough to win the national championship this year.
Again, yes.
And volleyball is undefeated right now. They're 9-0.
I mean, how crazy is that? I've been watching them, and it's like, oh my gosh, where'd that come from?
Yeah, we had a stat shown during our athletics all-staff meeting this morning that there's only 4 schools in the entire country whose football and volleyball teams are undefeated. And it was Texas, Notre Dame, Virginia, and Louisiana. So it was pretty cool. And Virginia shouldn't even count because they were like 1-0 in both sports.
Yeah, I'm not counting that at all. We're 3-0 and 9-0. Come on, man.
That's right. Yep. So it was really cool stat, and it was just a good boost of confidence. But I want to say, so I'd be remiss if I didn't do this. One of the biggest reasons why I was drawn to UL is Brian Maggard. Our athletic director is top notch. He is an incredible leader with a huge vision, and he has provided tremendous resources for our athletes. And that's what a good athletic director does. They provide the resources to match expectations. And so if we're expecting Jerry Glasgow to compete for a national championship in softball, we need to provide him with the resources. So last year, we wanted the video board, and we went out and raised $400,000 and put in a brand new SEC caliber video board, the same one that's at Ole Miss, and we put it in Lamson Park. And so, that's what great ADs do, is they say, hey, coach, what do you need? How can you win? How can I help you win? And then they go out and get it. And it's like, imagine a 100-meter dash with a bunch of hurdles. And the AD's job is to go out in front of the runner and just knock those hurdles down and clear the path for the sprinter to run unimpeded to the finish line. And Brian Maggard does a tremendous job. And my role is just to help him do that. So.
Well, and I think that shout out is well deserved. And I saw what he did at Missouri. And so I know that we're in good hands. And I see all the great work he's done with us so far. To your point, though, about all of the money that has to be raised, I think people sit back and think, I mean, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I'm reminded that in the Iowa State game, in the middle of the fourth quarter, our entire headphone system went out, right?
That's
And
right.
so I'm not sure how they finished coaching that game without being able to communicate upstairs as carrier pigeons or something. But that's $225,000 to
Just for
replace
headset.
those things.
Yeah.
I mean, stuff costs a lot of money.
Yeah, it does. Life is expensive, isn't it?
Yeah.
And athletics is expensive. And so, yes, you're exactly right. Things like headsets are not cheap. Things like cost of attendance and nutrition programs, our weight rooms, the other things that we've added are not cheap, but we got to add more. We need to do this renovation for Cajun Field. It's not just going to be new suites and club seats, but we're going to have a new video board, new sound system, new lighting system, new seats, new chair backs on the west side. We want to redo the east side facade behind the student section to just make that a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. So there's a lot of great plans, and we're going to need people to step up. And from my standpoint, I'm going to tell you another little story from when I got here. I started last July, and I'm going to my meeting with people, and I see red everywhere I go. I see the Fleur de Lis and the Raging Cajun logo and the RCAF logo, and I'm having great conversations. And so we were getting ready for our first football game, our home game against Liberty, a home opener against Liberty. And I was expecting 30, 40,000 people there. And luckily, somebody caught me ahead of time and said, hey, I just want to manage your expectations. We're not a football school. We'll be lucky to have 20,000. And I was like, are you kidding me? What? I see our stuff everywhere. People are talking about us. People are excited. We got a great coach. We got a great team. How is that possible? And sure enough, we got 20,000 people there. And I was shocked. And so if we can just take people's passion, the passion exists. Whenever I see you, Jackie, you're fired up about the Raging Cajuns, and I love that. And there's a lot of people that are like that here. So it's not like we have to drum up this passion. What we've got to do is get people to take that passion and translate it into financial support and get them to put money where their mouth is and get them to invest, because we cannot take things to the next level and succeed at the level that we want to succeed at. We cannot stay in the top 25. We cannot keep Billy Napier. We cannot renovate Cajun Field. We cannot get to March Madness. We cannot win the Women's College World Series without people stepping up and helping us financially. And so it's going to take all of us, and we're going to all have to do it. We all have to rally around this community and this community's team and make the Cajuns something that are a source of pride for all of Acadiana, get people to get behind it financially and help us take things to new heights. So the passion's there. We just got to translate that passion into financial support. And really, I'm so excited about where we can go from there.
Dude, I'm ready to run through a wall right now. I wish we had another game on Saturday. I hate having to wait till Wednesday before we kick App State's ass.
That's right. Amen. Go Cajuns. Thanks for having me, Jackie. You're awesome.
Hey, thank you for being here. And listen, for anybody who's watching, please go to Mighty Cause, go to the RCAF page. The link is in the comments, and donate. You've just heard exactly why we need your $50, your $500. I'm not going to say I would be mad if it's not $5,000, but for sure we at least need your 50. We've got to grow the base. And so it's people in this community who are going to be able to do that. And come on, even in a pandemic, you can afford $50 in a year. So step up, join the program, be a part of what we're doing there, because I think great stuff is coming.
Yep, it's an exciting time to be a Cajun.
It is indeed. Lee, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Go Cajuns.
Go Cajuns. Take care.
All right.